Alright, let's finish this trilogy in Slymania with Expendables 3. What a way to finish. That's what she said. So I remember when this came out, I went to see it in the theater. It was the only one of the Expendables that I went to see in the theater, and yeah, it was a bit of a disappointment because, you know, as I mentioned before, I liked the first one. I love this one, and then it didn't help that I watched both of these before I went to see it. They were the DVD, so I was able to actually watch the climax in that one at the time. So, yeah, it's a bit of a disappointment, especially since this is a franchise that is built on bringing back the action heroes of old and putting them all together. And what we do in this one is, well, you have a few veteran actors, all of which are good. They decided to bring in younger actors, and they don't even try to bring in younger action stars. Like, what they could have... I have a list of people you could have brought in if you wanted younger action stars, such as... I can't think of one on top of my head now. You have Channing Tatum, Sam Worthington, Chris Hemsworth, Jeremy Renner. He was younger at this time. This is 2014. Who else? I'm trying to think. Who else at the time was younger? Action star. I had a list, but there were younger action stars you could have picked, more well-known ones. But who do you get? And I gotta read the names off. Some of them. Two of them I know. Jason Statham. No. Kellen Lutz and Ronda Rousey. Of course I know. Kellen Lutz he was Emmett in the Twilight movies, and he was Dean in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. And Ronda Rousey, well, yes, you see it. I know who Ronda Rousey is. So, yeah, but then you got Glenn Powell and Victor Ortiz, who I never heard of. Still don't know who they are. I thought, oh, maybe they'll be bigger in recent years. I have no idea who they are. They've done nothing, I don't think. You know? And, you know, like, you going into this film, and the first thing they do is they rescue Wesley Snipes, right? By the way, this movie's PG-13, and that does, and if we heard it, I was watching the unrated cut, and it doesn't seem like there's anything else changed from that, really, that I noticed. Maybe some swearing more here and there, but other than that, no. You have this opening that's actually pretty good where they rescue Wesley Snipes. They ask, what are you arrested for? And he goes, tax evasion. I'm like, okay, that was funny. That legitimately got a laugh at me in the movie theater. But once again, according to Mr. Hat, that's worth an eye roll. If you're not watching these kind of movies for one-liners, don't watch them. No disrespect to you, good sir. I love your reviews. You have a good format. I love your formats. I love all your reviews. But when it comes to an action movie, it's almost a prerequisite to turn your brain off when you start watching it. If you think too much about an action movie, you're going to come up with a bunch of things that are just not going to work. So one-liners are a prerequisite for these films, and turning your brain off as well. But that being said, the PG-13 rating doesn't help this, and doesn't help that as soon as this scene is done, he essentially, so they come in and they're told that this person that they're after is named Mins or something like that. Turns out it's not. It's Mel Gibson playing Conrad Stonebanks, who is a co-creator of the Expendables, thought to belong thought to be long dead. He's not in this. Of course, it is Ross, or Stallone, as I call him, because I don't refer to their character names, but Stallone is the one who killed him. By the way, I noticed something watching all 3 of these in a row. Stallone's facial hair is like running away from his face in each film. First, he's got a goatee in the first one. And my second one is just a mustache, and now it's all gone. And I do see why. This was like, what year did it come out? 2014. That's around the time he did, was it Creed, right? In 2014? That's 2015. He'd have been around that time filming at the same time almost. So yeah, I can see why he doesn't have any facial hair here, but it does distinctly tell you, oh, PG-13, no facial hair. You know, no blood, no facial hair. And so, first thing he does when they get back, he disbands the team and goes out on his own and finds a younger group of people. And we get 20 minutes of a montage, meeting these people, you know, Glenn Powell, who is hanging from a cliff. I get the reference when they find him. And Ronda Rousey, she's wearing a dress for some reason in a club, and she kicks someone's ass. Okay, Kellen Lutz gets his ass kicked, and then there's another guy. I don't remember what that one does, but then one of the best ones. Like this would have been boring if they didn't introduce this in here, and that's another thing. And it's not just Mr. Hat. There's a couple other reviews that I watched that criticize Antonio Banderas' performance in this and call him, I quote, the Jar Jar Binks of this franchise. Now, I don't hate Jar Jar Binks like the rest of the Star Wars fans, and I don't hate Antonio Banderas. In fact, I think he's the best thing in this film. Just what he says, because he's, you know, Stallone, he's looking for younger people, and then he's doing this jump off the thing, and he takes his mask off, and there's like 50-something-year-old Antonio Banderas, and he's like, come on, I am stronger than I look, I am faster than I look, come on, let me do it. And he's like, and Kelsey Grammer, who's also there, he goes, you were born in 1984. Of course not, but I feel like I was born in 84. And they pass him, and he's like, all I know how to do is kill people, and I do that very well. He's fantastic. Even later, when they, spoiler alert, they old members come back because they have to rescue the younger members now. It's just Stallone and Banderas, and he's sitting in the co-pilot seat, which is usually Statham's seat. They show up, and he goes, "You better move. Christmas is coming." But it's June. I love Antonio Banderas in this film. Just like he's fighting and he gets his ass kicked, and he looks up around the rise and goes, "Oh, hello." It's just, you know, it's fun. And then he gets inducted in. He goes, "You're a fish part team." "Oh, that's good because I spent a lot of money on these." I love Antonio Banderas. I hope he comes back for the next one. If they ever get around to doing it. But he's the best thing in this movie. I like all of the veteran actors they get to come back. Wesley Snipes, Antonio Banderas, get to show up in this. I mean, Wesley Snipes, Antonio Banderas, Kelsey Grammer, Mel Gibson it's not as good as Jean-Claude Van Damme, but he's a very good villain. There's a monologue that he does on a train, and then he kind of reverses that later. And then there's during the climax, like no one is killing anyone. He's like, "How hard is it to kill 10 people? Here, another one." Just like that. He's fantastic as a villain. He should play villains more because Mel Gibson is fantastic in this film. They have a final fight between him and Stallone. Well, it's not as good as the one with Van Damme. At least I got to see it in this one because this one didn't skip. But I did watch YouTube clips and stuff of the fight for the finale. So if you're wondering, wait, how do you know what the finale is like? Well, I've seen that movie a million times, first of all. But yeah, they use water to accentuate the fight, and it works, but it's just not as good as the one fight in the last one. So I gotta say, Van Damme's the best villain in this franchise so far. Speaking of Banderas, when when I was, when you go to upload a video, you got to put in the title. I put going for the Expendables 2. I hit the 3 by accident, and I just impersonated Antonio Banderas, and I went, not yet. I made myself laugh doing it. Not yet. I think it's fantastic. And we get, Caesar, Terry Crews must have been busy, because he's at the beginning and the end of this film, much like Tooled in the first one. But, yeah, he gets... And they play it like he actually died. I guess Terry Crews actually begged for his character not to be killed. Maybe that's why he was brought back at the end, but I know he's at the end. And then, they call in the reinforcements, and you have Harrison Ford, who's replacing Bruce Willis in this as their CIA contact. They don't explain it, but apparently it was a money situation. Bruce Willis wanted to be paid $4 million for a small role, and Stallone said no. And he brought in Harrison Ford. And Harrison Ford is pretty good in this. He's driving a chopper, and in the chopper, of course, is Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jet Li. They do play the tall, short joke with him and Lundgren later, but yeah, they show up and they help, and he comes in, and he's like, "Good morning, get to the chopper, come on." I love the one-liners, man. It's fantastic. There's not as many good ones in this one as the other one, my shoe is bigger than this car. Or, you die now. But there are some good stuff in here. I just think that the worst part of this film, no offense to any of those actors, are the new people. And you can tell that because if it wasn't for them, they wouldn't have to go back in there and, I bet they would, but, it didn't work because Stone Banks had everything set up. Much like Villain in the last one, but I just think you could have brought in just a couple more veterans. It was rumored that Jackie Chan, Steven Seagal, and, who's the other one? Jackie Chan, Steven Seagal, and Clint Eastwood were supposed to be in this film. Well, I don't know about Clint Eastwood. He's kind of old, and I think he retired from acting before this. So, I think Gran Torino was his last acting thing, and he retired after that, right? Or The Mule, which came out a couple years later. I don't know. I don't know if he was really in front of the camera at this point. That's what I'm saying. But I don't know what Clint Eastwood could do. He's older than Stallone, I think, right? Because Stallone is in his 70s, and I think even here, Eastwood was already in his 80s. I don't know how much he could do, but then again, Chuck Norris was probably in his late 70s, early 80s when he did his cameo. And he's Chuck Norris, so it doesn't matter. Chuck Norris! I can't believe I didn't do that in the last one. But, yeah. Oh, and I thought about this, too. I don't know if I mentioned it. I know I did it in my dry run. But the whole villain gets killed and then comes back for revenge thing, they could have done that with Gunner. Think about it. If they didn't bring back Lundgren for the second film, and then, Stallone's well, because you character rough, and then it's wait a minute, I got an idea, why don't we bring it back? When you say, we thought you were dead, but you weren't, you know what I'm saying? You come back, you're still alive, and you're the villain, you know what I mean? It sounds like it would have been tailor-made for Gunner had he survived. Said he survived, and you didn't know that, but instead they bring in a previously unestablished character for that. But, Gunner is in the second one, so you can't really do that, you know what I mean? But it would have been interesting. Overall, I think The Expendables 3 is okay. Nothing special. It's probably the worst in the franchise, but still not bad. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. I think it's good. Not as good as the first one. Definitely not as good as the second one. But, so for me, my ranking personally would be 3, 1, and 2 at the top. So, yeah, but it's a solid, let's say it was a 6 out of 10. So, Expendables 3, have you seen it? What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.